Yo, 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 what's up? It's your guy, Swag 100, representing Swag 100 Podcast. We here live on Goat Vibez with my guy from Ruff House, Ruff Nation, Chris Schwartz. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
Man, it's definitely great having you here, man. Definitely. Being in Philly and having a Philly legend, on
Yeah,
the Goat Vibes. This is awesome, man. Really appreciate you for taking your time and joining us here on the Goat Vibes. How you been though?
I've been good. Talking about Philly. The Miss Hill and the Fugees came through last week, Saturday night.
Right.
Anybody here go to the show?
No, I actually didn't go to the show.
I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna tell you what. They did they shot it out, myself and Ruff House, from the stage a bunch of times. But they talked about Philly, and because Philly's a huge market for them, right? And what was cool is that they bought the Delphonics out to do a set, and the Freeway. I mean, it was
Right.
awesome. It was really they this tour is a really great tour, really great tour. But anyhow, just Philly. I mean, it's like
That
what more can you say? It's like it's a to me, it's like one of the greatest music cities, ever, because of the opportunities that we were afforded here. And besides that, it's like, I till this day, I always believe that the disco guitar style started in Philadelphia.
right.
People like Norman Harris and the late Bobby Eli, and I yeah.
Definitely.
So
So
anyhow,
speaking about the Fugees, they just got named best 100 albums ever made, and it came in at top. I'm at number 10.
really, are you talking about Rolling Stone?
Yes.
I think, no, the Miseducation was number 10.
Yeah, Miseducation.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean
no.
Lauren Hill.
Yeah.
How you feel about that?
Well, here's the thing. There was a lot of pissed off people, because, but here's what it is. It's generational, right? Because at the end of the day, right? It's it's always like the Who, Quadrophenia, which is a great record. Don't get me wrong, but it was always like these classic rock bands, and so people are like, "Oh, how could that record be number 10?" Well, it's a readers poll, okay? It's the people who are active consumers right now, and the people who were who think that that the Who should have been number 10, or whoever, right? Well, they're not they're not the majority anymore. Right?
Right.
That's just a simple fact. And it's funny. Right around the same time that happened, National Public Radio named her record the second most important record ever made by a female artist. Number two. This is over Billie Holiday. This is over Carly Simon, over all these records, right?
Right.
And the number one record, right, is something that's going to be immovable from because it's National Public Radio, and it's run by females and everything, and that's Joni Mitchell Blue. And it's funny, I'm a Joni Mitchell fan. Don't get me wrong, I'm a massive. I love Court and Spark. I like the Hissing of Summer Lawns, Don Juan's Reckless Daughter, but I don't get Blue. I don't understand why everybody goes ape shit over that record, But that record was number one because I think if you're, I think it when you go to, I'm gonna say it, when
No.
you go to a certain type of finishing school, right? If you're a female, right? An all-female finishing school. One of the things that they do is that they brainwash you with Joni Mitchell Blue. So then when you start your career in National Public Radio broadcast. But anyhow, no, the Miseducation. I mean, look, that record was it's an incredibly important record because I think for especially for a lot of women, because if you talk to a lot of women hip hop artists,
Right.
when that record came out, a lot of them didn't really know their place. They didn't know that they thought that they had to show their ass to be able to make it. They thought they had to do this. They thought they had to do that. And
She gave them another way to look at it.
and then she comes along and says and provides us absolute clarity. It's like, what are you talking about? You're as important. She's talking to the listener, whether an artist or whatever it is. Like, you're as important to you need to be important to yourself first, right? if you're not important to yourself, right? Like, how you gonna win if you ain't right within, right? And I think that record, I mean, I've met people who like a lot women who say that it's part of their morning routine every morning. They get up and they put on the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, right?
All right.
And that record, it's the biggest selling solo hip hop album by an artist uh, in the world globally. And the Fugees score is the biggest selling hip hop album by a group in the world. And I feel like there's never going to be another record like it because you would have to have a particular amalgamation that I don't see happening. And what you had was that you had Pras and Clef who were Haitian and who gave the group like this appeal among like I was just in a lift ride with a guy from Algeria, right? And he knew all about the food, everything about the food. They speak it like a sort of they were a French colony at one point, right? So anywhere like that like especially in France and stuff like that, in Canada and everything, and then you take you know her and you look at where she performs when she tours, right? Um, the largest heritage hip hop touring artist in the world is Cypress Hill because they've been going hard for 30 years.
Yes.
I'll tell you the dedication among these guys. I'm gonna get back to the Fugees in a minute, but when they were shooting the documentary, and I got interviewed for the documentary down in our pressing plant, the guy who was one of the unit directors for it, he says it's the first time I ever showed up to a set. He goes, and I was early, and the artist was there before me, right? Because Cypress treated this shit like a business, and they take, and it's like, and everything, like if you look at all, like they how many shows a year you think they do, Rob? Like what? Cypress. They travel. I think they do like they do like 180 shows a year, right?
For all y'all that's watching, man, we got Robin White in the building.
Yeah.
Robin White, man, definitely.
But back to her, back to Miss Hill. It's that she the amount of anguish that was put upon not just her but myself when making that record because Sony wanted look, Wyclef made a solo record, right?
Right.
Nobody batted an eye, right? I remember taking the first four or five songs I took of Wyclef's record because originally it was supposed to be a traditional Haitian record, right?
Didn't Pras
What's that?
Did Pras put out a solo?
Yeah,
as well?
Pras
Right.
Pras had a record when it went platinum. But anyhow, so Wyclef, we're in Haiti and we had this idea we're going to do a record of traditional Haitian music, just for like fun, right? And then starting the record and getting into it, it started to sound like a real frontline release, something that would be on Ruff House, right? So we didn't even have a budget approved for it, right? From Sony, like nothing. And so the record's like we're making the record, and I'm paying for it, out of my pocket. And Wyclef calls me up on a Monday night and said that I'm going into the studio on Thursday, and I need to do this thing. Like I am hiring an orchestra, right? And I was like, well, we don't have the budget approved yet. He goes, yeah, but it's I gotta get this done. It's a schedule, blah blah blah. So it's like $80,000, right? So it's like I gave him $80,000, and then on Tuesday, I went and had a meeting with the president of Columbia Records, and we listened to 5 of the songs from Wyclef's record, and he was like indifferent. He like didn't even give a shit, and he gave me the CD back. You ever you give somebody a CD, like, hey, let's check this out, and they hand it back to you. That's not a good sign, right?
Right.
And he said something about like it sounds like vacation music, right? So, but the thing is, whether he liked the record or not, they let Wyclef make this record unfettered. No, nothing. They had nothing to say about it, so he just went, made it, and did it. Same thing with Pras, right? But when she went to make a record, it was like, whoa, wait. We got to talk who's going to produce it. And we want Tone and Poke, we want Puffy, we want Timbaland, we want this one. They went down the entire list, right?
Why do you think that was so?
Because she was a woman. That's why. Because let's face it, man, who was like really the first woman producer to come in to this on her own and to be able to call her own shots, right? And to be able to, like, kind of be who she was and everything? Missy Elliott, right? Prior to that, right? In hip hop music, who? Right? And the thing is, and here's the other thing too, is that there's a lot of misconceptions out there about what what like a lot of these producers do and what they really mean to the project. Because what a lot of hip hop producers do, and I'm not going to mention any names, but we all know who a lot of the big artists are, and I'll say it's with the exception of Kanye because he does his own shit, and I know that.
What, you talking about the beats in the can?
I'm talking about the fact that there's a lot of these folks out there who have these big names as producers, when the truth is they do very little actual producing. They have they always have a squad of little beat makers that come in. They do this now. From an executive production standpoint, they're there and they kind of, I guess, have a say in the molding of the actual sound. But the thing is, here's what I always say, right? Unless it's a type of thing where it's like an R&B pop element to it, you can't A&R a hip hop record, right? Because either as an artist, you either got it or you don't, right? And I think historically we've been most successful as a company with artists that were self-contained, artists who knew how they wanted to be perceived by the audience, how they wanted to be presented, and how they like that whole thing. So making the Miseducation record, they basically fucked with the budgets and like all this. They just made it really hard, right?
Right.
And so then when finally the record's done, and there was like some music was played, and somebody called me up from Sony, and I was in Bath, England at 3 a.m, and they said, "We think the record's very, 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 very mediocre."
Wow.
And I was like, "What?"